It is said that having talent alone is not enough to make a star or to make someone successful, but having audacity is the key. Audacity, if you notice, is the common characteristic to every role model or every person who is a household name today. So maybe it's not a game of chance or luck, but just a formula of the right amount of guts with enough determination and consistency and perseverance to just continue to do the thing that they enjoy doing. And it's that type of consistency and carrying on that gets them to match the timeline and frequency of whatever their desire was. It's like our role models, the people that we look up to, catch a high off of becoming more free, more of themselves, more alive. And it's so honest that I genuinely don't even think they do it simply to inspire us, but it just calls to a part within ourselves that's longing for more freedom, and we attach ourselves to it like a moth to a flame. And this energy, this air, or like aura points that we call it, is just a leverage of freedom given to those who decide to jump off of that metaphorical cliff over and over again. With each leap, they just develop more finesse. And it's not that taking the leap isn't much of a risk. It's just something they do so often, it's now expected of them, which is also kind of mad and like foolish to be brave enough to be the first at something or to make a statement with the journey that you take in your life. And I think because of this fact, I've grown a lot more respect, and I've started to understand more deeply the people that decide to just take more risks in their life and they become these amazing successes. Because personally, I would rather jump off of a cliff 1,000,000 times just to show others that we can than to live my life never taking a risk or a chance at freedom. So would you take a foolish leap for a chance at freedom? And you know what? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Want to know what's really sad to me? Those really heartwarming video interviews of elderly people that say, just take the risk, move to that country, take that job, go after that dream, love that person. Because maybe they've found themselves existing in a life that is a consequence to all of the risks that they never were brave enough to take. And a lot of their wisdom exists from their inability to have experiences. What I want to offer my future children is not the version of me that sees life through the consequence of never actually becoming or never actually experiencing. Because if I never do that foolish thing or take that risk that's outside of my own box, I fear I won't really have much wisdom to offer them or to share with them only up until a certain point. And that's all because of my lack of experience. And how can I really protect them in an arena of freedom that I just wasn't even brave enough to release myself enough to experience, you know? And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings when I say this, but I do believe that the population of people that want the American systems to go back to the way they were is like they're fighting so hard to bring things back to the way things used to be is because they know deep down that those ways are dying along with them, unfortunately. Or there is this demographic of people that truly believe that progression exists on the opposite side of going forward, that the progression exists behind them. I don't get it. It's really, really weird, and I think it's just such a small way of viewing the world and progression and where we can go, that I feel like is so determined to stay alive that it's completely unsafe. And Chapter 2 in The Artist's Way was about marking new territories and establishing different boundaries that mirror our creative actualization and evolution. And in order to move forward in a certain direction, we have to decide a path and not look back no matter what it costs. Sometimes it costs us our community, the connections, the careers, the romantic partners. And are you really okay with looking like a complete fool in the minds of the people you love for freedom you've never had or you just started to believe was a possibility for you? I think when you're putting yourself out there or expressing yourself in new ways, I almost find it easier to do it amongst people that you don't know because this is a clean slate. Like, mind you, this is their first experience of you, and so you can be as expanded as you are in hopes that their first impression of you is not anything that could potentially put you in the box in the future. So when it comes down to our peers, the people that have known us before we even knew ourselves, unfortunately, they can only really perceive us in a certain way. It's not that it's an intentional thing or they don't do it in a negative way. It's just their mind's processing of who we are and them existing in their day-to-day life with more important things to think about, you know? And we do it to other people unknowingly. And some people just cannot perceive you being any different from what they believe. They'd rather believe the narrative that they have of you more than who you actually are. It's just a way that they can build trust within themselves or the way that they see the world. And it's kind of one of those things that you just can't do anything about except not give a fuck enough to do you anyway, you know? I think when you're hyper aware about something, especially when you're doing the self-actualization and really trying to determine like where you are as far as like, are you moving in the direction of like your highest timeline? Are you existing in the stuck place because of who you are surrounding yourself with? There just comes a time where all of the energy that you put towards of noticing the small things that are important to you but are small to everyone else, you just kind of have to keep that inside and use it as fuel to take you other places. Being hyper aware, it's only a curse if you're vocal about it. You can still have the gift and not show your entire hand. I think for a very long time when I was younger, my hyper awareness and my ability to recognize and see things and try to maybe get to feel what another person was feeling and have empathy for them in the moment, my ability to see that and wanting people to know that I could was really just my ego wanting people to see me as more. And all it did was kind of like put me in these weird social situations. And I realized I have more leverage when I'm keeping this power and ability to myself. The more people underestimate what is really going on inside of me, the better the excitement when people actually see the bits and pieces of me. Like, I don't want to be so predictable that I give away all of my magic at once, you know. So if what you build in your life is just a manifestation of your ecosystem, so if like your entire upbringing and your life and the job and the friends, etc., is built on everything you've always known, when you actually start to define yourself and you realize, okay, this no longer feels safe for me. Okay, this place with these people is no longer a safe space because I'm having to compromise my truth just to be present here. It's like you get to a point where you start to ask yourself, how long will it take for me to grow in madness enough to decide to distance yourself for your beliefs? I think there's a part within all of us that just allows the important people that we genuinely do not agree with to take up more space in our minds than they deserve. I had to remember this, like when deciding to go rogue in my life, just simply for my truth. The important people should exist more in our hearts than in our minds. You know, to assure that our ideas, our concepts of life, and just how we decide to live is 100% our own. It's cleaning up our influence because we can. And I realize that the same people that are still playing the victim role or this blame game, blaming their parents or their peers as to why they do certain things or act certain ways, They still exist in that loop of the things that they don't want because they haven't found new ways of being yet. New ways of being yet enough to make that a consistent part of like their character now. I guess like pointing the finger sometimes is just so much easier than doing the work to like find different ways of being yourself, you know. I had to like really sit myself down and say like, it's not my mother's fault that I revert back to the same defenses that I was raised on. You know, she's not forcing me to choose that path every time. I choose it because it's familiar, not because it's healthy. You know, I think chapter 2 was like recognizing how much your ecosystem can affect the ways that you view your creativity and noticing it enough to make a change, not because it's easy, but because the process is about doing the hard part anyway, you know? So do we decide to stay in the shadows because we know it well, or show up differently for the world to see because it is that next hard and challenging thing? I think we should do the hard part just to see what comes up. And when we talk about these things, it seems like a small cliff until we actually reach the edge of it. And you start to have a fight with your old, outdated, but loyal self, or this new and emerging version of you that you don't necessarily know yet. I hope you take a bet on the version of yourself you never knew and let it take you to new places. Have you ever met someone that loves to talk about what they would have done if they got the same opportunity as someone else, but at the same time judges themselves so hard for literally doing anything and everything, because anything outside of the box of their own community or social ecosystem is considered lame, and they'd rather be nothing than be lame in the eyes of the people that just don't know anything or don't know any better. Here's my advice. Never allow the people too afraid to build a world of their own as a part engineer to the world you're building on your own in your mind, because 9 times out of 10, they're building based off of their own fear. And what's going on in your mind is too precious for interference, you know? Especially as a manifester, you know, I realize I'm someone who labels themselves as an alchemizer of their own emotions so that I can manifest. And because of that, I have to surround myself with people who manifest or that are able to recognize their power. It's like, even in my future, I feel like I have to have a husband that can build a life on their own. Otherwise, they won't know how to reach me or exist with me. And if I'm not with a person that gets it, they'll end up stunting my growth. And I end up going backwards because I'm emotionally trying to pull them into a mental practice that they just don't understand or they don't get. I'm pouring so much and not really getting poured into, and I'm using a lot of my creative energy. This is also why relationships are really not that important to me, because it just costs me too much. And I know people want to watch male-centered YouTubers. They just want to tell you about how to get the guy to care about you, how to get the guy to remember your name, and how to get the guy to beg for your attention and beg for you back. And it's just like, all of that shit is a waste of fucking time, people. I'm like, what? No type of romantic love, nothing under the sun, okay, will ever be more important than your power and ability to create what you see in your mind. Do you get it? Like, you have a thought. You want to bring that thought into the world, but you can't. Every great idea that you have, all of your abilities, your talents, and the things that you see in your mind, you can actually bring it into the physical world. Matter of fact, it is your job and your duty to do that, but you're stunted by all of these other things that distract you. And that is a disservice to your incarnation here. Like, we are supposed to be fruitful and prosper, and the fruit is what we produce, our abilities to be creative. Not 100% the children that we make. Ew. Like, I'm sorry. I feel really passionate about that because, especially as a woman, when you have all of these laws based on like your body, and people like to like base your worth on your abilities to like want the things that society wants for you, like the husband, the children, and also a 6-figure business. Like, I have to have it all just to make myself this amazing woman. And I'm starting to realize, like, look, I don't want my biggest success in life is my ability for a man to choose me. That I'm just far beyond that mental space, but I want to be known for the ways that I kind of navigate through life with my creative ideas, like just because I can, that's something that is a big success to me. And when I see women or anybody able to do that, that inspires me. Because at the end of the day, you will get the husband and the legacy and the beautiful, well-mannered children that are so smart. And what will you become in the process of all of the nurturing and building and the caring for everyone else? And just because you're an amazing woman and you have all of the capacity to do that because it's who God made you to be, it doesn't mean it isn't hard to do, or it's like sometimes you just don't fucking feel like doing that in this life. In this journey of the artist way, I realized just how much I really appreciated myself for my ability to like leave people the heck alone. If it is not in it, getting to that part is probably really hard because I don't like letting people go. But when I know that I have to, I just kind of, I do it, and it makes me feel good that I'm able to detach eventually. I have personally always lived like this nomadic type of life, and I've always been the type of person that can pick up, go to a new place, a new city, and thrive just off the simple fact that no one knows me. That doesn't shrink me. If anything, it helps me kind of expand to who I'm supposed to be. And when I was in my early 20s, and I was around people that just didn't even want to go to the movies by themselves because of what other people might think, or couldn't sit at a bar and get a martini on their own, but always wanted to talk about what they wanted and never took a step to get it, it just aggravated the heck out of me. Because in my mind, that was lame. That was just like, it was just weird to me. And when you're young and you have friends and you feed off of each other's ideas, I recognize that in a lot of group friendships, majority of the people are kind of following one specific person. Maybe they're a little bit more charismatic, or maybe they have more money, more attention, they dress nice, and they kind of go in the direction of whatever that person says because they want to get closer to that specific person. And it doesn't mean that that specific person isn't an idiot, or isn't without experience, or just has never really done much, And when I used to see things like that, I hated it because I'm like, hit me up when y'all are like your own person and maybe we can like kick it, because right now you don't know how to be yourself. You don't know who you are. And I don't think I know myself 100% either, but y'all are just doing some weird stuff that you guys aren't even noticing because you're so fucking young, So I've always kind of been on my own. I remember when I was at the University of Houston, go Cougs, I just got my car and I had a day off, and I got myself all dressed up and I went to a really nice restaurant and I sat at the bar because I wanted to watch life outside of student life. When you're in college, after the grade school pipeline, you're still a child in the mind. There's liberties you don't necessarily know you can express yet. And I saw so many different characters and energies, and it really helped me transition into adulthood with confidence and like in being able to just kind of jump off certain ledges and do things that younger girls my age didn't feel comfortable enough to do. You know, I was learning so many important things. Like I saw so many different characters and energies, and it really was the transition that kind of sparked my interest in like acting and getting into theater. All in all, being in the solitude and not really having a lot of opinions altering the way that I view myself, it was needed for my path because I needed to be confident and understand the importance of finding joy in my solitude. I loved people watching, especially as a young kid, so much that I didn't even like playing like the whole pretend child games with people. I think I just had more fun hearing conversations and then making ideas about the life that people in those conversations had by their tone or the way that they laughed. This hyper focusing in plain sight is weird. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, you know, I'm really good at masking that I'm doing it. Hyper focusing in plain sight like that felt like a masterclass of somehow. I didn't know necessarily why I did it. And I'm still trying to figure out like why I am that way. And slowly things are kind of like piecing together in ways that I should use this for like writing or, you know, developing different scripts and what I kind of want to do with my creative writing. But it's like when I was younger, I couldn't imagine myself sharing that version of me with someone else. Like I was gaining so much in the solitude that I had. I think solitude was a very large part of my happiness at a very young age. And I needed that to have the confidence that I do now. So that no matter how much the world would agree or wouldn't agree with me or in how different I am, I know that being alone is home. And what's so great and important is I never expected anyone outside of me to really participate in that. It's cool if they do. It's great if they decide not to, or even better, because I hate having to explain myself as well. Like, I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I do what I do, having to explain that to someone else, it's just, I don't necessarily like communicating with it because I'm basing what I'm doing off of intuition, and sometimes that is your best friend. Sometimes you just gotta move and let others try to figure it out as a way of them artistically digesting your art. That is the expression of your life, you know? So, let's get back to the book. Let's talk about the discussions. I just want to talk about them because for these, it was kind of in a way a little repetitive to week 1, and I didn't necessarily get to all of them, but I will talk them through with you. So, I'm going to be real with you guys. You know, last week I had all of this stuff about like, I'm going to do my morning pages. I'm going to get it together. The resistance was resisting this week. I didn't do any morning page. I didn't even, like, it was so weird, you know. Hopefully starting tomorrow I can get back on track and actually like see what it's like. I do teach at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I'm just like, I'm eager to see like, what the hell is it? Like, why can't I get it together as far as those morning pages? I was reading in the book and basically they were saying that like, your morning pages are your connection to the divine and your ability to like nurture your relationship with the divine. And like, that is the very thing that I'm missing in my creativity. It's like, I want all of this guidance. I want all of this like oversight to my plans, but I'm not even doing the very thing that brings me in union with this higher power that I want. I'm just going about my life having these ideas and not doing what it takes to nurture the relationship. And I want to have all of this quantity of creativity, but my connection with the divine is what brings in the quality. And it's kind of what makes sure that what I'm saying and how I'm being perceived, as far as like my ability to connect with every one of you, it kind of makes it more potent when I'm actually doing my best to build a connection. So I'm really disappointed in myself for not really getting my together as far as my morning pages. So like, it's week 2, I'm feeling total resistance, and I feel foolish and embarrassed by that truth, but I want to be able to make sure that I'm like not just saying something to sound good to inspire you guys to do something great. Like, I want you to do better than me in this process, and I'm just going to be real with you. It's actually really kind of hard to dedicate every single day waking up before you need to write, and I think that's the point. So hopefully, girl, I do better. Child, we gon' see. Pray for your girl, because she's trying to get it together. Task number 1 is every day, morning and night, get quiet and focus and read the basic principles to yourself. Be alert for any attitudinal shifts. Can you see yourself getting aside any skepticism yet? And like the principles, when I read those principles, they were like the Pledge of Allegiance. I believed them 100%. There was nothing that I needed to there was nothing in me that didn't believe them, you know? And number 2 was, where does your time go? List your 5 major activities this week. How much time did you give each one? Which were what you wanted to do? Which were shoulds? How much of your time is spent helping others and ignoring your own desires? Oh, this one. Wow. Okay. So when it comes down to writing, I should be writing every single day, but it's hard to do. It's never going to feel right to do. Sometimes you're just not in a mood. And I just saw an interview with Toni Morrison talking about this, and she's basically saying like, who gives a fuck, right? Anyway, it's like there's never going to be a perfect time to write. There's never going to be a perfect moment in your life where you're just going to have to pick up what you need to do. You just have to do it anyway. Use it. Do it through the confusion. Do it through the pain. Do it through the discomfort, and just see what comes up. And that's amazing. It's also easier said than done. But I found myself doing a lot of chores. Like, I know that there's always going to be something to clean. So instead of doing what I should do, I just do a chore. And then I get mad at someone else in the house that I have to do that chore, when I could have just did what I needed to focus on and not even think about it. It's like, maybe things don't necessarily have to be perfect for me to create, but I do have to exist in a clean space. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the Virgo in me, I don't know, but it's like, if my area is not clean, I can't think. And I start to think about what's happening in front of me and around me and ways I want to fix it, instead of just like focusing on what I need to create. I don't know how to make an excuse about it. It's not an excuse. It's just genuinely how my mind works. So in order to work with my mind, I just clean so that it's not getting in the way of my creativity. But it gets in the way. I don't know. It's like, even if I smell the trash can, I just start to get so angry. Like, why is there stuff in that trash can that smells? Like, oh, sorry. Could I have not gotten into an argument about the dishes being in the sink? Of course. But in my mind, it was taken away from my creativity. So I wanted to see that it was done. Did I waste more time by getting into an argument about the fucking dishes? Yes. So I failed in that aspect. Anyway, list 20 things you enjoy doing: rock climbing, roller skating, baking pies, making soup, making love again, riding a bike, riding a horse. She's funny. She's cute. I like her. Or whoever co-wrote this, because I don't think it was just her. Anyway. I don't know, like those favorite things for my dates. There are a lot of things that I like to do. There are a lot of things that I can't afford to do right now. I don't know. Number 4. From the list above, write down 2 favorite things that you've avoided that could be this week's goals. You know, I need to finish that painting thing that I talked about last week. I'm going to try to finish that. Dip back into number 5 is dip back into week 1 and read the affirmations. Done. Return to the list of imaginary lives from last week. Add 5 more lives. Girl. And this is the resistance that I'm talking about. It's like, girl, what do you want me to do? Like, okay, I want to be the muffin man. I don't know. I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna get to it, you guys. There's like a circle pie chart and thing. Like there's like really intentional I'm sorry. Ooh, I got makeup on my thing. There's some really like intentional tasks. Like make one small item, select one small item and make it a goal for this week. My goals this week are my videos. I need to make a video a week and the shorts to go with it. And yeah, I'm not really doing a good job at explaining each one by one, because I didn't really do a good job at doing them this week, and I kind of did them internally instead of writing them down on paper because there was just so much writing, and it was taking away from the episode. But you know, noticing my resistance is interesting because I'm not able to lie about the work that I'm willing to do or what's easier, what's hard. And like sometimes I think when a lot of people get up and they try to be online, they do try to be these perfect people for their communities. And I applaud that because you're making it for the bigger picture. Like you think about the bigger picture as you're doing what you do. And I was indulging in all of my feelings as to why I didn't want to do it. And I think there's something about that that's really honest. So I had resistance towards doing the morning pages. I said that I was going to do all of them. I ended up doing none of them. And it's crazy. Like, I thought that it would have been easier to do because I set an intention on it. But it's like, no, there's something in me that's stronger. And that's what I need. That's who I'm doing the artist way for. It's like, I know what I need to do. I know what I can do, and I know what's in my abilities. I'm just not doing it. And it makes it even more interesting, the journey. So yeah, that was week 2. I will see you guys in week 3, hopefully with a better song to sing. I love you guys so much. Thank you all for making it to this far into the video. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at jasmin.siri, and you can listen to all of this audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Raw and a Half Podcast with Jasmin Siri. Yeah. Leave a comment below. Hope the things that I came up with were helpful and beneficial to you in any way. If so, it was for me. And I'll see you guys in my next one.